O God, exalted high, and as thy glory fills the sky, so let it be on earth displayed, till thou art here as there obeyed. Amen.
Welcome to the First Church in Chestnut Hill, to our Sunday service for September 26th, 2021. Welcome if your journey has brought you newly to this community, and welcome if your journey has long been in this space and with this good community. We enter October's promise of vibrant hues and cooling breezes, while the calendar marks month 19 of living in the reality of COVID. While we continue to gather in worship and spirit from our many far-flung places, we do so in ongoing community and compassionate care for one another, for our communities and our world, holding those who grieve, who suffer, and who fear in prayer and in Spirit's care. Our annual meeting will be online on Sunday, October 17th at 12 noon. Please plan to attend by contacting David Brooks to secure your Zoom invitation. We will all also observe All Souls on Sunday, October 31st, with a reflection and a reading of names of persons who have died during the service. Please email me, Holly Bensonhafer, any names you would have included in memoriam during the service no later than Sunday, October 24th, so that they may be included. We begin now with a reading of Psalm 26, followed by the scripture reading. So hear now the psalm. Vindicate me, O Lord, for I have walked in my integrity, and I have trusted in the Lord without wavering. Prove me, O Lord, and try me. Test my heart and mind. For your steadfast love is beyond and before my eyes, and I walk in faithfulness to you. I do not sit with the worthless, nor do I consort with hypocrites. I hate the company of evildoers and will not sit with the wicked. I wash my hands in innocence and go around your altar, O Lord, singing aloud a song of thanksgiving and telling all your wondrous deeds. O Lord, I love the house in which you dwell and the place where your glory abides. Do not sweep me away with sinners, nor my life with the bloodthirsty, those in whose hands are evil devices and whose right hands are full of bribes. But for me, I walk in my integrity. Redeem me and be gracious to me. My foot stands on level ground, and in the great congregation, I will bless the Lord.
In today's reading, we're introduced to Job and his sufferings. When we join the reading, Job has already lost his fortune and his sons and daughters. Although favor in this world ultimately shines on Job in the last chapter of the book, he remains the poster boy for the question, why do bad things happen to good people? The book of Job, chapter 1, verse 1, and chapter 2, verses 1 to 10. There was once a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. That man was blameless and upright, one who feared God and turned away from evil. One day the heavenly beings came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them to present himself before the Lord. The Lord said to Satan, "Where have you come from?" Satan answered the Lord, "From going to and fro on the earth, and from walking up and down on it." The Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man who fears God and turns away from evil. He still persists in his integrity, although you incited me against him, to destroy him for no reason. Then Satan answered the Lord, "Skin for skin. All that people have they will give to save their lives. But stretch out your hand now and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse you to your face." The Lord said to Satan, "Very well, he is in your power. Only spare his life." So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and inflicted loathsome sores on Job, from the sole of his foot to the crown of his head. Job took a potsherd with which to scrape himself, and sat among the ashes. Then his wife said to him, "Do you still persist in your integrity? Curse God and die." But he said to her, "You speak as any foolish woman would speak. Shall we receive the good at the hand of God and not receive the bad?" In all this, Job did not sin with his lips.
There was once a man in the land of Uz. And so begins the tale of Job, the righteous dude who gets entangled in the whims of the gods to his great grief and misery. If you recall the pantheon of gods and demigods in Greek and Roman religion, or know of the deities woven throughout the ancient world traditions, sacred texts, and lore, one overwhelming point repeatedly occurs. One should never endeavor to attract the attention of divine beings. Their ways are not ours, and their motives are their own. Humans who do not find themselves in the transcendent, who do find themselves in the transcendent spotlight, inevitably suffer for the attention. And so it is with Job. What the lectionary conveniently absents from our reading of this allegory is that the Divine One and the being Hasatan, also known as the accuser, are sparring with each other. The accuser rightfully questions, why would Job not honor God? He's led a charmed life. He holds position and power. He has more wealth than he can use. His children are all well set and lead their own charmed existences in a large and evidently loving extended family. Why would he not favor the Divine One who has favored him? This is where the accuser, Hasatan, makes the observation that it is unfair for the Divine One to laud Job, who has no reason for complaint. And there it is. The supernatural spotlight kicks on and beads its focus upon the unsuspecting Job, the faithful human just going about his business, living his very, very good and blessed life. In these intervening verses between chapter 1, verse 1 and chapter 2, Hasatan is granted permission to harm Job in every possible manner except his person. And in one tragic event, even horrific event after another, Job loses his wealth, his possessions, and all of his children in the divine gamble to see if he will curse his God. This is the stage for today's text, where Hasatan, in a round 2 bid, now has permission to harm Job himself, to see if he will hold his God accountable for his suffering. The divine spotlight beams its focus with greater intensity and bears down on the belabored and grieving Job, who loses his good health and well-being, descending into depression with grief and trauma, and now physical impairment and pain. He is humanity brought low on the capricious whims of the far greater deities. And he, along with God in the text, Hasatan, and all the other supporting beings, are allegorical. The book of Job, like Pilgrim's Progress and countless morality plays, is meant to start conversations, to ponder, and to be challenged. And today's text is no different as we move another step along the path of considering the theme of neighbor. What neighbor, you may ask? Job's 3 friends do not arrive to sit with him until after this passage. No other person is mentioned besides Job's 4 surviving servants, who brought him the horrifying news of his initial losses, and his wife, who in her own likely grief and trauma, because note, her experience of these losses is not recorded, entreats her husband to be done with his suffering, blame God, who, by the telling of this story, did actually allow these events to unfold, and die. The theme of neighbor, however, extends as far outward into our reach in the world as it does inward to the center of our being. In this text of unmitigated tragedy, loss, and pain, the neighbor is Job himself. Over the years, I have sat across from individuals snared in this place of anomalous suffering and listened as they tried to sort through the shattered fragments of lives filled with habits and expectations now broken, identities and life stories shredded, and any aspect of hope quashed in a languishing pea soup fog of spiritual anguish so thick they cannot perceive a future, and so disorienting they dare not take a step forward. Bearing witness to their stuckness can be soul-searing, because their disconnection is so extensive in that moment that even though they can hear and intellectually assent to what needs to be done and where hope awaits them, they cannot take it in. In that moment, they are the embodiment of the bereft. Their pain may be so great they can no longer feel. Tears will not stop or do not fall at all. They cannot maintain ties of relationships. They cannot see there is even potential of a next step and another. And when their cries to their God are met with silence and they find themselves engulfed in the unfathomable depths of unknowing, in that moment, platitudes and pastoral promises do not apply. When we discover the neighbor in need is the person gazing back in the mirror, and life as we knew it will never be the same, then we encounter the challenge to enact the same protocols of grace and compassion and slow, daily healing that we would for any other beloved soul shattered by life. When someone sits across from me and reveals their pain, I cannot take it from them, but I can bear witness to it and seek to help them carry their burden until they can lay it down into God's timefulness. First, however, they must determine to share, to reach out, and to reveal the truth behind saying, "I'm fine." And that is the enabling and hope-filled first tiny step toward the new and unimaginable life awaiting them beyond the devastation. We do not know the fullness of each other's stories. And in some cases, we do not even fully grasp the whole scope of our own lived stories. So when tragedy occurs, it can unmoor us from all the support networks we thought were in place. But the good news is that no matter how disconnected and disoriented we are not alone. We are in good community with other souls who have journeyed these paths before us and who companion us on the way even when we cannot feel them, even in our disconnection. And we can afford ourselves grace for tender places, compassion as we grow new roots and learn new habits of being, and eventually hope as we move step by careful step toward a new and unanticipated life. Amen.
When the bird waketh and the shadow
As we prepare hearts, minds, and bodies to turn from this service to our lives of service in the world, we do so with the poem Compassion in the Chaos by Reverend Jan L. Richardson. To all that is chaotic in you, let there come silence. Let there be a calming of the clamoring, a stilling of the voices that have laid their claim on you, that have made their home in you, that go with you even to the holy places, but will not let you rest, will not let you hear your life with the fullness and wholeness, or feel the grace that fashioned you. Let what distracts you cease. Let what divides you cease. Let there come an end to what diminishes and demeans, and let depart all that keeps you in its cage. Let there be an opening into the quiet that lies beneath the chaos, where you find the peace you did not think possible, and see what shimmers within the storm. The service has ended. Now go from this place to all your other places, offering yourself grace, compassion, and hope in the stuck and painful and grieving places of your life, so that we may know healing and thrive together in God's safekeeping. Blessings on your journey. Go in peace.